People who believe in zodiac signs, why? Okay, so, hear me out. Ahem, it wasn't so much a belief, but I had used zodiac in the past as a method of self-examination/improvement, before getting into therapy. I wanted to identify the problems before spending a lot of dollars to have someone talk me through it. I have been struggling with the unholy matrimony of mental health, anxiety, depression and ADHD, with sprinkles for a while now. Astrology was the kick in the right direction. Led to me picking up books about aforementioned sprinkles, and getting from point A to point B. My parents didn't believe in therapy, and was taken off ADHD pills because parents didn't like me on them, all of 3 days. Rolling eyes face, I'ma just put this out there quick. You don't get to disrespect people/act a certain way and blame it on your sign. It's childish and you need to get over yourself. It is ludicrous to think that planetary positions affect personalities, however, there's a little more depth to it than just sun sign. Bear with me. When you are born, planets are in a certain constellation, depicted by a natal chart, which has been used in astronomy in various ways, like planning trips to Mars. Each of the planets progress through the constellations at different speeds. In astrology, the planets represent certain life aspects, like relationships, feeling, communication, passion, etc. Now, for the planets in star signs representing your personality, poop doesn't matter. When you get to the planetary aspects, and are objective, not like oh the moon's over there next to Venus, I'ma get some dick, no, fork off, you can identify the traits/emotions/life changes that apply to you. You can also use the timings of planetary cycles to set goals. Moon signs change every 2 to 3 days. Make a plan to start doing exercise, get goals to achieve every 3 days, whatever floats your boat. Whether or not it's backed by science can be argued out the door for sure. But, any self-analysis can be a useful tool alongside getting professional help. Mental health is a different struggle for everyone, and it's better if you can find something that interests you, keeps you engaged and aware of yourself. There's journaling aspects and cycles associated with growth and planning. NGL, it's also a fun time going out to a dark sky reserve with a telescope on a dark night outside the city and just be at peace. It was definitely a phase. Meditation is my go-to now. But you know, cycles. Learn and reflect. I'm not saying it's for everyone, and people definitely use it in some twisted ways. But hey, unless someone's punching you in the face saying it's fine, I'm an Aries, you do you. I like this comment. You found it a useful tool for introspection, irrelevant to whether or not there's a scientific basis for its accuracy, because it prompted you to carefully examine yourself and your emotions. Thanks for the reply. ITT, people who don't believe in astrology. For some reason the people trying to actually answer the question are getting downvoted. What is ITT? Because I always feel stressed and anxious. I need to be tethered to something. Understandable, have a nice day. Just worship peanut butter like the rest of us. TLDR, because it's fun. I started learning about it as a kid because my mom had some books laying around. Thought it was interesting, the way a personality quiz online might be fun to do. Like oh yeah, that's totally me. Haha, seeing as I already memorized friends and family's birthdays, I started seeing some patterns and saw the very general traits of the zodiac manifested. Not super clearly, not every time, but enough to keep me interested. As an adult I've really been digging into it more. The internet certainly helps. It's a great hobby because there is so much material out there to study. Signs, planets, degrees, aspects, elements. It's like laying out a big puzzle. Connecting pieces of information and putting them together. It's one of many tools I can use to decipher myself and the world around me. I know it's not scientific, and I'm fine with that. I enjoy it and it helps me. I don't need to convince anyone, and I certainly don't bother anyone with my astro takes unless they ask for it. That said, I've become pretty good at pinpointing other people's signs, winking face. You use it like how modern tarot is interpreted, right? Not that the cards actually reveal future events, only that they provide frames of context that can be used to direct interpretation of current issues. Maybe sort of like allowing for guided thought exercises? I know it's not scientific, and I'm fine with that. I like a little magic in our indifferent universe. As someone who thinks most things like this are BS, it's one of the least harmful things that people follow. I'd rather my neighbors be eccentric astrology nuts than an average Scientologist. Then again, there are people who decide who to marry or not based on their prospective partner's sign, make life-changing decisions based on astrology, or just spend a lot of money on consulting astrologers, so it's not always just a benign "hey, the paper says I'll meet an old friend today." The average Scientologists often do not know all the crazy Xenu stuff though. Rimini said something like this: "Because I'm a typical Pisces." One time when I was arguing with my mom and telling her I don't believe in astrology, she barked at me, "Of course you don't believe in astrology, you're a Virgo." I have no idea what that means, but I always thought the comment itself was a great one. I prefer Reese's Pisces. Because, when I was high as fuck, someone did my whole chart and I've never felt more understood, still chasing that buzz. Oh man, I can relate. My friend gave me a weed brownie and read my chart to me at a coffee shop. When it started to kick in, I felt like everyone was staring at me and I meekly said, "Can you please stop reading that out loud?" I don't really believe in it, but it is fun learning about. You're supposed to use a birth chart and not just your zodiac sign, which uses the exact time and location of birth to figure out the alignment of stars and shit. You can share qualities with other signs based on where the sun/stars/moon/planets are. So like, I'm a Virgo. I don't share a lot of qualities with your stereotypical Virgo. I'm not a clean freak and I'm largely disorganized, which is not considered a Virgo trait. But if I bust open my birth chart, look at the shit that represents orderliness, it predicts that I'm a disorganized person. And basically all the qualities that didn't fit me under one general zodiac sign, are pretty much tailored to me when I use my birth chart. You can use other zodiacs too in a birth chart to compare. I used my sister's and tried to identify with her supposed qualities, but I couldn't because none of it applied to me. Try to compare other people's zodiacs to each other and see which one fits who better. I can see why people believe in it, it's a spiritual thing. We can track movement of the stars and planets, it's kind of a given that a belief like this would arise. I do wish that I understood its origins though. I wouldn't be surprised if I found out it was pretty much appropriated from other religions/culture. Like how Wiccans did. In the West it has its roots in ancient Rome. They were very concerned with trying to predict the future and strongly believed that some days were more significant than others. But I think there are similar ideas in other cultures as well. Vox has an interesting video explaining the roots of it on Netflix that is pretty neutral and not disparaging. I had an astronomy teacher who had a spiel about how when the astrology signs were created our understanding of astronomy was flawed, so most of the astrology charts today are not accurate to which constellations are actually in the sky during a given month. It was pretty interesting. I'm not a believer in astrology at all, but your comment convinced me to go check my own birth chart, and honestly my mind is blown at just how accurate it is. I'm sure there are tons of people whose birth charts are completely incorrect for them, but it was a very interesting read and I'm glad I took the time to look it up, if anything for the introspection it brought on. I know this is going to sink so low that nobody sees it, but if you want a serious answer. Have you ever had a full natal chart done? A lot of people, even people who at a surface level believe in astrology, look at their sun sign, which is just kind of BS and doesn't really apply to them in the first place. It's a lot like any personality test. And rather than looking at it like a self-limiting box, the real purpose is to see your flaws and grow past them rather than relying on them and saying shit like "oh, I'm such a Cancer, and this excuse is exception." I find a lot of people that ask this question and participate in these threads more so do it to laugh and gawk at those who hold these opinions. Op actually has been inquisitive regarding this, so I don't hold them in this camp though. I personally believe in some of it. I think a natal chart maps stuff down to a T. I think those that strongly disregard it never have their mind open to spirituality other than organized religion, or just want something to hate on skeptical. Yup. I personally find full charts shed light on my experiences with people. I've found them useful in understanding myself and others. What's more interesting than that? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.